Joining me now, Congressman Keith Self from Texas's 3rd District. And of course, while the focus, Congressman, is on the news of the day and, of course, the horrific tragedy still playing out in Texas, first on the anniversary, one day after the anniversary of July 13th, 2024, your reaction.
Well, my reaction is there are a dozen or more so-called errors that were made. So I truly believe that God saved Donald Trump that day because Donald Trump has saved America twice, once from Hillary Clinton and once from Kamala Harris already. Now we've got to get the Trump agenda done because that's why God saved him, so that we can do this saving of America, as you say. We have got to codify his EOs. Congress has got its work to do now. President Trump is doing a wonderful job. Now we've got to codify what he is doing in the executive branch.
The president went to Texas along with Melania Trump and other members of the administration. As you and I both know, Congressman, there is a time when any president, has to not only be in charge, but also the consoler in chief. And what was that like for you as a Texan, for your community, your district, and for other Texans?
Well, I was there with the president, and frankly, we waited, and he was doing exactly what he should have done. He was with the families. Everyone saw the press conference after that, the very sober press conference. The details are just horrifying. But I was really pleased that the president and the first lady spent as much time as they did with the families, because as you say, his presence there, his concern, certainly the sobering report that he gave, that was important for our nation, certainly important for the Central Texas communities, certainly important for the families. So I applaud the president for being there, just as presence, but also for the time he spent with the families.
That time, and of course its meaning, I think came across to most Americans the right way. However, and unfortunately, the attacks by the Democrat Party, the left, and their media allies has been one to denigrate Texans. I remember when Joe Biden called Texans Neanderthals, to show a lack of caring for people who've lost and some who may not still know as the search continues if they've lost someone.
Well, that's right. We still have more people missing that have been declared dead. It's just a horrifying statistic. But I will tell you, Texans will pull through this. We will pull together. The community will pull together. They've already said they're going to rebuild the Hunt store. They're already going to rebuild Mystic Camp, and I'm sure there will be safeguards in place. But we will recover. Texans are tough people. We wear it as a badge of honor when people say that we are too tough, because we are. I believe that, back to your point about the Democrats, for a pediatric doctor of all people, to say that children deserved dying in a flash flood because their parents might be conservative is beyond the pale. This is how far our culture has devolved.
Well, it is a stark contrast on full display. And at another time, we can have the discussions about the House and what's happening there. But I want to stay focused on Texas and the recovery and the next steps. And part of recovery is to learn from the lessons. There are some things you don't control, whether it's a 100-year, 500-year flood, an act of God, an act of nature at its frankly fully on display. You don't control that, but to learn to improve warning systems, processes. These things are needed in Texas. What have you learned so far? We've heard the statements from the governor along with the president, and you were there as well. But what have you learned so far? What can be improved based on what we know now?
Well, we've heard all the reasons that there was not a good warning system, the distance, the cell coverage, and so forth. But I know that the Texas legislature will find the best solution for an early warning because you have to have it. You're going to have these camps, and there are multiple camps down in the floodplain. So if you're going to have camps in the floodplain, you're going to have a early warning system that works at 2 o'clock in the morning, which is exactly what it was needed on July the 4th. I know now that they are already talking about it. It's on the first special session agenda that the governors put out. So they will be working on this as early as next week. So I don't know what the right answer is, but it's got to be something that even if your cell phone is turned off, the early warning system works. So I am confident that the Texas legislature will find the right solution and, more importantly, implement it.
Congressman, I lived in Texas, and in my case, I remember the Trinity River, another one of the great rivers, flooding, and it is just a part of the existence. There is talk of bringing in, of obviously the Army Corps of Engineers, working with the Texas equivalent, and looking at things like early warning via seismic systems, water monitors, and more. We don't know what was and what wasn't in place, but those sound like good ideas. Look, water is a part of every community. Communities are built on water. That's just the reality.
And Central Texas has a unique problem, not a unique, but a rare problem. The valleys are so stark, and that funnels the water. And flash floods are well known. If you get caught in a flash flood, it strips you of all your clothing, your rings, your boots, or whatever you. It is horrific, and it's extremely dangerous. So the early warning system, again, whatever they decide on, and I think it's got to be something that's loud and general, not through a cell phone. I think it's got to be very audible across a wide area, and I think they'll figure it out. But the problem with the Long River is, where is the rain up above? Because it could rain 100 miles away, and it's not raining where the flash flood happened. So it's a more complex problem than you would think.
Yeah, and to be fair to this, when you have a 26-foot rise in less than an hour, nature is awesome in its might and tragic in its outcome in this case. My guest, Congressman Keith Self from the state of Texas. Congressman, let's look at uh, another aspect of this. Texas has been embroiled and involved and effective in protecting our borders. And thankfully, a lot of those resources, because of Texas's actions and because of the president's actions when it came to the border, ended up with them being available to respond in quick time. And I don't hear much credit in the media being given to the response by Texas officials, Texas National Guard, and other agencies.
Well, let's just be honest. The federal government did not do its job for the last 4 years under President Biden on the border. So Governor Abbott in Texas took charge. They spent more than $10 billion to secure the Texas border. They did what they could, even in the face of judicial activism against it. So they did what they could, and now under President Trump for the last 6 months or so, we've seen crossings drop to almost zero for some months. So the border, as you say, has become secure both because of Texas over the past 4 years, President Trump during his short tenure now. So those resources were available, and you saw that one law enforcement officer told the president that to his face, that we had the resources to deploy because the border is now secure. So let's think about that. There's an opportunity cost whenever the federal government is not doing its job. That's a cost that we would not have had in this very dangerous situation.
Congressman, in the one big beautiful bill now passed into law, we should stop calling it bill, and it's a law. There are provisions for border security. There are other improvements in there to help states with disaster relief like this, and of course, a restructuring of FEMA based on some of those failures and more that we've seen, as in Asheville, North Carolina, and still playing out around the country in other areas. Are you satisfied with those aspects of the bill, of the law as it is now?
Well, the big beautiful bill, as we called it, I call it the Beauty and the Beast. So you've talked about part of the beautiful part of it. The $45 million to finish the wall in Texas is a big deal, plus millions more for infrastructure, for hiring. So that is part of the beautiful part of the bill. I'm very satisfied with that, and also Texas is being reimbursed some of the costs that they spent on the border. So in direct answer to your question, those and frankly the tax cuts that we extended, because if the big beautiful bill had not extended the tax cuts, average Texas family would have seen, I don't know, $1,700 increase in their taxes. You know about the no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security in some areas. But those are current, and those three expire at the end of the President Trump's term. So there's still work to be done, but the tax cuts were the crown jewel in this bill.
Congressman Keith Self, we have a lot of work to do in this country, sir. It's been a year since Butler to where we are today, and I say a remarkably different world than had the election turned out another way. We have so many challenges in this country. Thank you.
Thank you, David. I appreciate it.
Congressman Keith Self from Texas, and of course, we'll keep a close eye on what's going on in Texas with the ongoing search and recovery efforts.